how the different types of booze that the Beatles drank during their years in Hamburg, on their tours, and some in their solo years. And no, this does not include John Lemon, Orange Harrison, Paul Iced Tea, or Mango Starr, the Simpsons Ned Flanders Beatle drinks that he had in his Beatle shrine in a Simpsons episode, The Barter Four. They're not in this because, obviously, they're not real. But the reason I'm pointing at this sign is because this is a replica sign of an advertisement advertising the Beatles at the Cavern. And this was also a good idea of what a sign would look like advertising the Beatles in Hamburg, Germany, back when they drank German champagne and German beer. They had a good level of German champagne in Germany because they played the Kaiser Keller, the Starr Club, and a bunch of other German clubs to get a start and build their craft performing. And this is when they drank German champagne. This brand is Gold Truth Chin. It's a Riesling brand, and it's very good, very sweet, it's a very relaxing feeling. All alcohol does that, but it's very relaxing and it's very soothing. It's very sweet. If you like a sweet champagne, you would enjoy this. And German beer, I've had too. I think all beer tastes the same. To me, I'm not a real beer person, and beer kind of tastes like garbage to me. And that would be a drink that would be drinking more for the effect than for the taste, because beer really sucks. So that kind of documents their German years. They drink a lot of German champagne and German beer. And if you don't know this, there's a Beatles live album from December 1962 documenting 4 of their last shows at the Starr Club. It's called The Beatles Live at the Starr Club in Hamburg, Germany. And Adrian Barber, the stage manager, recorded the Beatles for the album. It's kind of bad quality, but it's still the Beatles, and you can still hear them in their heyday before they got their big break. And Adrian Barber recorded them for a guy named what's his name? Oh yeah, Ted Taylor. That was his name. And the Beatles, John Lennon spoke for the Beatles and agreed to be recorded for the album in exchange for giant crates of beer that they drank all throughout their performance. And so that documents this and the German beer, which I do not have. But another Beatles staple, which Larry Kane can agree to with me on this, was Scotch and Coke. I don't have Coke on hand, but I do have Pepsi, so I'm going to substitute that for this showcase, although I did have Coke with the Scotch when I had this. Scotch and Coke was the Beatles' official favorite drink on all their tours in 1963, 4, 5, and 6. I believe John Lennon was a particular fan of Scotch and Coke. All 4 Beatles did, and they had all of their roadies and any journalists that traveled with him. Larry King was the #1 American journalist who traveled with them on all their tours. They would all drink Scotch and Coke after each show, and yeah, and Scotch, or no, whiskey, was the favorite drink of Brian Epstein, their manager, and yep. So he would drink a lot of that on their tours with them, although he never really socialized with them. He was more of a businessman, and rightfully so. He was never a socialite, although he did like to socialize, but he didn't think it was right for the manager to be, you know, partying along with the people that he's managing. So, but yeah, the Beatles loved Scotch and Coke, and that was their favorite drink on all their tours. And Scotch and Coke here, and Scotch and Pepsi, but same thing. Scotch is whiskey. It's very, very, for those who don't know the taste, very strong. It's a whiskey. Whiskey is strong. It's very strong, very, very sour, but then it's very sweet. I like whiskey. Not a lot of people do. I could probably drink it straight, but it could be dangerous depending on if you can handle it or not. But it's very good. I enjoyed this rather well. And they drank that all throughout all their tours in 63, 64, 65, and 66, like I say. And then, to mark the occasion of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, right there on the wall, see them in their outfits? Oh, and here they are on their, how they were on their tours. You know, the boys. Here's them in their Sgt. Pepper outfits. And, I don't know if you know this, guys. I don't know if anybody's a Beatle historian like me, but John Lennon and Paul McCartney were good friends of a guy named Tara Brown. And Tara Brown was the heir to the Guinness fortune of the Guinness beer, which I have with me right here. This is Guinness beer, and this is the brand that Tara Brown was the heir to, and in a day in the life, I'm sorry. He's the guy that blew his mind out in the car. If you didn't notice that the lights had changed, but that was not part of the story. Tara Brown got in a car crash. He was rather young. I think he was in his 20s or 30s, but he was a good friend of Paul and John's, and particularly John's, and John wrote that line for him and that song for him. He was the heir to Guinness, and I had this too, and it's a dark beer. It's brewed in Dublin. It's an Irish beer. It's very dark, which means it to me, like I said about beer before with the German one, there's really no taste to it. It's very bland, very, very, there's not a lot of, you know, I'm a sweet person, so there's not a lot of sweetness to any type of beer. But I tried this, and I didn't really care for it. But you know, to each his own. Everybody's got their own preference. And but yeah, may Tara Brown rest in peace. And I figured I'd try this just because it's one of the things that the Beatles drank, and you know, just wanted to see how it tasted because I want to expand my horizons. And you know, I am old enough to drink now, by the way. And moving forward, during the White Album, the Beatles drank Blue Nun. They probably drank other things too, but they had Blue Nun. Particularly, you can hear the rattle of a Blue Nun bottle on the song Long, 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 the George Harrison song, and it is sitting I believe, on it's either Ringo's drum or the piano, and you can hear the rattle of the Blue Nun bottle in the song Long Long Long, on the White Album. And that is that. And for 1969, that White Album came out in '68. It's good album and good year. But for 1969, I don't think I know they probably drank. George Harrison gave up drinking in 1969 because he wanted to clear his mind and have find another means of enlightenment instead of drugs and alcohol. And I think he dabbled in it again in later years, but at that point he quit. And I don't think they had anything at the rooftop concert in 1969 on the Apple Building, but I could be wrong. They probably just had water or something. 1970, the year that they broke up, Paul McCartney, particularly it hit Paul McCartney very hard. It had all been very hard, but Paul was very depressed. He went through a deep depression, and he stayed in bed a lot. And it took Linda, his wife, Linda McCartney, who I love dearly, for getting him out of bed and getting him the motivation to continue recording and providing the stabilization for him. She was a great person, and she kind of helped him get out of bed. But Paul said in interviews that he went to Scotland on a Scottish farm, and he drank a lot of Scottish whiskey because they had a excess of supply back in Scotland, because that's all they had in Scotland was whiskey and any other alcohol, but he had a lot of Scottish whiskey, and that's what he used to mask the pain of his, or to get through the pain of his breakup with the Beatles, because he had known nothing for 10 years, and it's hard to get out of something like that. And so yeah, he had a lot of whiskey until Wings, until 1971, when he launched Wings with his wife, and until Linda, and probably Linda led him through walks in the garden and tried to help him through it, and they did. And to move on, in 1974, John Lennon, his favorite alcohol was a cocktail which he called a milkshake, called the Brandy Alexander. I had this at a bar on December 8th, on the 33rd anniversary of his death, and I had it kind of as a tribute for him. And if you don't know what that is, it's a mix of brandy and ice and ice cream, and it's pretty good, and it's very sweet. And some bars, if they don't have ice cream, they use half and half coffee creamer, which does the job. And he liked it. And just to tell a little quick story, in 1974, him and Harry Nilsson got kicked out of the Troubadour in L.A. because they got so plastered, John, on Brandy Alexander's, that they were heckling the Smothers Brothers, and Harry Nilsson, or Tommy Smothers, or somebody said in an interview that Harry Nilsson had heard that they liked to get heckled, and they did it as a joke, but ended up getting kicked out, and John sent flowers and soothed it over a couple days later. Hold on. Oh, okay. I'll be out in a minute. And then moving forward, so John's was his favorite was Brandy Alexander's, and he drank it pretty much all through the 70s, particularly in 1973 through 1975 during his lost weekend with May Payne. He had a lot of alcohol, and he had a lot of. He was not a very good drinker, because he would always get in fights and problems and things.
Oh, wait, Selena? You do? Really? Okay, hold on.
Alright, moving forward. For anybody who hasn't heard, you probably have, the Wing song Venus and Mars / Rock Show. There's a line in there that goes, sitting in the stands of the sports arena waiting for the show to begin. Red lights, green lights, strawberry wine, good friend of mine. And then the song kicks up and rock show. It intersects quite well in an Abbey Road type way, but this is, I just figured, what the hell, I'll have this. Strawberry wine, the brand is Strawberry Hill, and it's pretty good. Probably one of my favorites that I've had in this little experiment / project. But it's very sweet. It's kind of like a cotton candy taste to it, obviously, because it's strawberry. But one of my favorite Beatles songs is Strawberry Fields, so I think it's kind of funny to do this too with that. And I don't have a picture of Paul in Wings, but we all know he looked like he had a mullet. And then,
Oh, hold on. I'm going to come out in 5 minutes.
and then, so yeah, that's it.
What? Okay.
And then onto another Beatle. So yeah, strawberry wine is very tasty. But yeah, onto another Beatle. Ringo, back in the 80s and throughout the 70s, he would party, and he would drink a lot. And he became an alcoholic and later planned rehab with his wife, and successfully has done that for years now. So in 1988, he went to rehab with Barbara in Arizona. Barbara Bach, the Bond girl. I wonder if she likes hers, or liked hers, shaken, not stirred. Haha. But in 1984, there was a cocktail, or not a cocktail, but a wine cooler called Sun Country Wine Coolers, and that's going to be the only thing that I am not reviewing, simply because it's no longer in circulation. But Sun Country Wine Coolers were a brand of wine coolers, and Ringo was the spokesperson. Vincent Price was too, but Ringo was the main guy. And I don't know if any of you guys know what wine coolers is for the beginning drinkers, but wine coolers were basically, alcohol, wine, mixed with carbonated soda, and then fruit juice. And that's basically what made a wine cooler. And Sun Country wine coolers some considered them like a malt, because it was like a chocolatey type thing, and the fruit juice, they had different flavors. They had peach, they had strawberry, they had everything. You name it, any type of flavor, they had it. But that's what a wine cooler was. And Sun Country wine coolers only lasted probably about 1980. It was an 80s drink, and from 1984 to 1988, or probably into the 90s too. But once the 90s began, they ceased production and they're no longer available. So I can't review, I can't talk about that, but I do know, because I did my homework, folks, if you haven't noticed. that the very last drink that Ringo had before he went to rehab in 1988 with Barbara Bach was cognac. This is a cognac. It's a little bottle of it. It's Extreme XO cognac from the brand Martell, and it's very good. Like I say, it's a whiskey, so it's very strong. I like whiskey, like you say. I could probably drink it straight. I've done this before, and people think I'm crazy in my house, but I do like whiskey, and everybody else doesn't. But it's good. It's very strong, but it wakes you up. It does that job, and it's very good. Very, very, like I say, sour. Very strong, but you need that in a drink. And I think if you're a fan of you know whiskey, cognac is the thing that you would like, and Ringo did. And I don't know how I figured out that that was his last drink, but I did find that out. And to continue on, by the way, in Madison Square Garden at one of his few solo shows, I do believe that John Lennon held up a Miller Genuine Draft, which I've had, and like I say, I'm not a beer person, so beer's garbage to me. I like wines and anything other than beer, basically. But yeah, this has been sort of a journey through BeatleBooze, with little stories of their rise to success through Hamburg, through the drinks that they drank, and all their tours through Scotch and Coke, and then their recording years with Pepper and the White Album, and some of their solo stuff, and it's good. And I will post the Sun Country Wine Cooler commercials with Ringo in them, and songs that mention the products that I've talked about. And I want to end this not with a final answer question. This is not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but I want to know, will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? And by the way, I will take birthday greetings and a bottle of wine on my birthday. Just kidding, folks. Just thought I'd throw that in. And another little bit of Beatle trivia before I go and end this. The last name Rigby, Eleanor, for Eleanor Rigby, came from Eleanor Braun, who was in the Beatles film Help. And Rigby came from a wine shop in Bristol in the UK that Paul McCartney found out about and went to, and it's called Eleanor's Liquor Shop or Eleanor's Wine Shop or something like that. And so I thought that was pretty interesting, so I figured I'd throw that in there for good measure. And as you guys know, for anybody who knows me or any of my friends, or I am a big fan of the Beatles, and they have a very fascinating story through their music, and how they write their songs and everything. And I figured, what the hell, I'll talk about the booze that they drink, and tell a little bit of their story and their rise and their tours and everything through the breakup and solo years, through the booze that they drank. And I think I've done a pretty good job. And by the way, for anybody who's listened to the Wings song Another Day, you'll know that the woman in the song drinks another coffee and finds it hard to stay awake. I'm a big coffee person too. But what do you get when you mix alcohol and coffee? This is a drink, folks. For anybody who doesn't know this yet. What do I do with this? Oh yes, right here. There is a coffee alcohol drink. Coffee liqueur. It's Kahlua. I wonder if she finds it hard to stay awake after drinking a couple of these. Probably not. Had that too. That's pretty good. Yes, that tastes just like coffee. You just gotta mix a little milk in there, no sugar. There's already alcohol in there, and it's very sweet, and it tastes just like coffee. So, just thought I'd throw that in there and give you all a good laugh, and I hope you learned something from the Beatles and me from this. And if you like any of these alcohols, see here they are. German champagne. Oh. You can get this at Mariano's, your local Mariano's, or probably your local liquor store. But mine doesn't carry German champagne. I find this is very hard to find. The hardest to find of all these, but Mariano's had it. This is the Scottish whiskey, made in Scotland. The brand is Chivas Regal. Pepsi you can get anywhere. You can get that with the Scotch and Coke, or Coca-Cola is even better. Guinness is Jewel. That's where I found it. You can get it anywhere though. Blue Nun, that was hard to find too, but I found that in Harvey. At a local liquor store, you can probably find that at your local liquor store too. And Strawberry Wine, Strawberry Hill, Boone's Farm. That I found at Jewel too. You can find that at your local liquor store too. Grocery store, liquor store, whatever. And the cognac, I found at another local liquor store. And Sun Country wine coolers are not available, but if anybody wants to post a recipe to it, feel free, and I'll talk about that in another video. And if I've missed any BeatleBooze that the Beatles drank, I call it BeatleBooze just to be funny, folks. But if I've missed any alcohol that you know of that the Beatles drank, I don't think I did because I did my research. But if I did and you know about it, let me know, and we can fix it. So, yes. Peace and love, folks. Remember, all you need is love. Give peace a chance. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Have a wonderful Christmas time. Sit by the fire with a drink in your hand. I don't have a fireplace in this room, but I do have the Beatles. That's all I need. That picture of John was taken on the roof of the apartment that him and May Pang occupied in LA during the last weekend, 73 and 73, 75. And that ends my video, folks. So peace and love, happy holidays, long live John, Paul, George, Ringo, and Brian Epstein and Alan Williams, whom I found out a lot, and I used his book a lot to find out about the German champagne and German beer stuff. And it was a good read and probably the best Beatle book I've ever read. It's called The Man Who Gave the Beatles Away. And it's a good read, and I have a lot of Beatle books, folks. As you can tell from that bookshelf. There's a lot of Beatle books. A lot of baby stuff too, because my sister's friend is occupying this room now, but I don't know, whatever. But that ends my BeatleBooze journey, folks, and I hope you enjoyed it. And so ends this one. Strawberry fields forever, folks. When you're at a stoplight, just think of red lights, green lights, strawberry wine. Good friend of mine. Pop this open when you get home. Alright, peace and love. Happy holidays. Have a good day. Long live the Beatles, of course.